Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome to or welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's video I'm actually going to be doing a review for a film series that I've watched recently that I'm sure everyone is familiar about. And this was called, what was it called? Baby Reindeer. I don't know how I managed to forget the name of the film. Basically, on Google, the summary of the film is dealing with a female stalker, a man is forced to face a dark, buried trauma. So, the actual series, I must say, was absolutely incredible. I would say out of everything I've seen up until this point, it's my second favourite thing. I think my most favourite film series that I don't think will ever get beaten is Black Summer. And I loved all the Saw films as well, but this was an absolutely amazing series, and it was obviously based on a true story as well. So you had the main actor himself, so Richard Gadd played the character of Donnie, Jessica Gunning played Martha, who was obviously the creepy stalker, and Neva Mao actually played herself, so she played a trans actress, and she was kind of Donnie's love interest, and obviously it got a little bit complicated. So basically, the idea of the story is Donnie kind of worked at a pub, he was just doing his day-to-day job, and Martha comes in, just looks like any other, you know, lady of age, and she kind of just sat down with a bit of a smile on her face, whatever. Oh, actually, no, I think she came in with a sad look on her face, so she'd obviously been troubled by something, and I think Donnie was the first person that kind of, you know, noticed that she was a little bit upset or noticed she was a little bit emotional, and I think he just gave her a drink on the house, and I think that's kind of the signal of when things started going strange and actually ended up being really weird, and that's when Donnie's life basically changed, all because he was nice and gave this woman a cup of coffee or a cup of tea on the house. So obviously she became a regular at this pub. I'm not going to reveal too much about the story, but long story short, she kind of became his stalker, and kind of everything that he would do, he would always have her in the back of his mind. And obviously at the same time, to kind of distract himself, he was on dating sites to kind of, you know, meet new people, kind of get away from the fact that he's got a stalker and kind of, you know, find some new people to, you know, get on well with. So he obviously found Terry. I think he was on like a trans dating website, and I think just having that sort of inclusivity in a film is absolutely incredible. And obviously Terry, Neva Mao, her real name, she is actually a trans actress anyway herself, so it's nice to actually fulfill that role of inclusivity and actually be inclusive to the role itself as well. And yeah, so basically he found Terry on this kind of dating app, and he was kind of a little bit nervous to kind of bring her to the pub or bring her around people that he knew, basically. And it kind of tells the story of how their relationship kind of starts from a date and then kind of, you know, goes a little bit further, or, you know, there were some mistakes along the way, there were some mishaps along the way. And it also shows that Donnie wanted to become a comedian at one point, so he had like a comedy show, and he wasn't really doing great with that. And then he kind of met someone, because while he was doing one of his shows, they obviously dropped their business card. He grabbed it, went to some really posh hotel VIP experience thing, started networking with some people there, and again he met another guy there. Can't remember what that guy's name was, but he was kind of like an older gentleman, and obviously at this point Donnie was 25 or 24, kind of mid-20s. He was going back to this guy's house doing God knows what, and then obviously he talks about the situations that he ended up in with, obviously, like drug taking, non-consensual, you know, interactions with this particular guy, for example. So he had dealt with and was dealing with a lot of things at this point simultaneously. He obviously wasn't living with his parents, and then I guess he had to go back and explain that to them because a video of his kind of went viral for kind of the right and wrong reasons. I'm not really sure how that came about, and I'm not sure if that video is actually still online. I'm presuming not. I'm presuming that's probably something that was kind of a little bit maybe dramatized, that, you know, he just said some outrageous things and posted them online, and then, you know, it was kind of shared. But I guess to be in that situation where you are so frustrated about someone stalking you, you don't want to share your love life to the world, you kind of want to go down the comedy route, but then also don't really know if that's going to be possible with all these extra things going around. And also he wasn't 100% sure of his sexuality as well, so he was dealing with kind of four main things, plus having to deal with family, plus having to keep his job, plus, you know, everything else. So, and I think it is really inspiring to see somebody like Richard, his real name, kind of to be able to just tell his story. I think that's the thing nowadays as well, especially with men. It is quite difficult for men to be open about their emotions, or be open about their story and things like that. And you know, everyone has a story to tell. I have a story to tell, but I've told as much as I've wanted to speak about it, and there's a lot of things that I keep private. There's a lot of things that I did publicise that I just very quickly removed, because it's like, it's not really anybody else's business if I don't really want them to know. And if it comes up in conversation in the future, then fine, can have a conversation about it. But I'm not really one that wants to have these kind of things out there, if that makes sense. So like talking about ex-relationships, talking about, you know, people I've been with at university, people I've met on nights out, things like that. Like, it's very private, and it is very kind of, there's only so many details I'm going to share about those things. But I have met loads of lovely people, and I have had some funny experiences, sexually and non-sexually. But I think it's just one of those things of like, you know, with this particular story, it was kind of highlighting all the bad things, all the bad experiences and things like that. So as much as there maybe are some great things, once you've gone through at least even one thing that's bad or triggering, or, you know, that it affects you in that sort of way, you're never going to see life the same way. And actually you will be grateful or thankful that you've got out of that situation, and that you kind of ended up trying to live as much of a normal life, to say, as possible. So yeah, I think Richard, obviously playing himself, he could have easily cast someone else to be his character, but he was playing his own character. And he even explained that, you know, the lady that was playing Martha, so Jessica, that she played that character incredibly well, almost to the point of perfection, that he actually thought she was the stalker who just come back into his life. And I think there were some points where she would kind of come into the pub, or she would do her lines, and he'd forget to say his line because she was so good at the acting. He kind of just put him off a little bit. So yeah, I think all three of them are absolutely fantastic in the film. And like I said, it kind of tells his story of being from a young guy, kind of having all these different issues and things to deal with, doesn't know what his sexuality was, wants to go into the comedy world. His mates were a little bit like, maybe not the type of mates that you actually want to have around, especially when you're, you know, you're telling them things and they kind of just laugh at you, or they say, oh, she's not a stalker, and then, you know, sending naughty messages to her. And I think it was that thing where she was constantly emailing him, she was constantly texting him. She obviously found his number and email from his website at whatever point he was posting about that. So yeah, I mean, I have seen some interviews where he has discussed the story, and he has explained, you know, how he kind of got to all these different places, and how, you know, it was difficult. And there are some things that are a little bit dramatized in the series, but a lot of the key things are things that have happened to him in his life, which, yeah, it's one of those things of, they are sad, and I'm sure it's difficult for anyone, let alone a guy, but anyone to go through things like that. But I think it's kind of for him to prove actually there was a way out. And, you know, by telling this story, I hope other people that maybe are going through things to do with drugs, or that maybe have stalkers, or maybe have difficult situations in their life, that there is a way out. You just kind of have to ask for help. So whether that's like what he did, went to the police, you know, going to your friends and family that you trust, telling them you've got an issue, and then them trying to escalate that for you, or even potentially trying to, you know, flip it the other way around, actually applying for a job where you are like in the police force, or in the ambulance force, or in the fire force, so you know you're protected by all those people around you. And also if someone does start coming after you, you're then in an authoritative position that you can actually make a change, especially if you're like a police officer or a law enforcer or something like that. It's like you can actually then turn the tables on these people that they have now messed with the wrong person. So that's a quite smart one as well. I don't think that was ever mentioned in the film, or, you know, that wasn't really a thing that he wanted to do, be a policeman. But I guess if you know you're in that much trouble, you could potentially try and get yourself in an authoritative position to kind of allow, you know, yourself to see it from the other side, and then also you can actually then potentially get this, or these people charged or in prison or whatever else that you would decide to end up doing. But yeah, I think it's, the whole series is basically like, I'm a guy, I've got issues, I've had to go through this and this, but I've come out the other side. And you just need to do something as simple as talking to the police, talking to your friends, using things as distractions, and yeah, I guess kind of knowing the signs of a stalker, or knowing the signs of, you know, people that are just kind of using you in life. Because I think that's the thing, if someone is too involved in your life and too up in your grill, is what I used to say, then that's just as bad as someone who's kind of not really there socially. So I think too much socialization and not enough is just as bad as each other. So just working out the signs, and yeah, if people are going through things, to know that they're not alone, because someone like Richard, for example, has explained his entire story. I think he even mentioned in the behind the scenes that this actually used to be a one-person show. So he used to have like a 360 degree show where he would be standing on a circle, he'd have an audience around him, and he'd basically be talking about the story. He'd be putting all the accents on, he'd be, you know, just discussing the story from beginning to end and what happened and, you know, how things were. And then it kind of just blew up. Netflix approached him and just said, look, have you ever thought of making a series about your story? And then he said, yes, I have. They collaborated straight away. However, that ended up coming about, and Baby Reindeer has now become kind of one of the biggest series on Netflix at the moment. So yeah, I think it's just one of those series that, you know, it'll have its moment. It probably will die down and, you know, just become like any other series, but I think it does tell a lot of deep and meaningful stories, and, you know, that it just basically says that if you feel like you're alone, or if you're dealing with something on your own, just know you're not alone, because there are other people that are, especially like him, for example, who was brave enough to actually get all these things out in the open. And I'm sure with these type of things, you will have a lot of criticism, you will have a lot of critique, you will have a lot of why now? Like, why didn't you do it 15 years ago? Why didn't you, you know, as soon as it happened, why didn't you post it, kind of thing? But I think with these things, they take time, I guess, to kind of tell the story. You need to have the best actors and actresses in the business, or people that you think that can kind of mirror the character, because I think at the end of the day, the only person that knew what these characters were like was Richard himself. He experienced all these people, the stalker, the trans date that he was on, the weird guy that was giving him drugs and things like that. So he knows what they were like in real life. He obviously knows their real personas. So he's obviously changed all of their names, and he's got to find actors and actresses that kind of fulfill as much of that character as possible in a kind of dramatic way. So yeah, it was an amazing series. Like I said, it's one of those series that if it comes out, you get recommended of it, and it will blow up and it will have its moment. And I think he is going to go on to do amazing things. Like, I know he's probably done loads of great things already, having just been brave about his story, especially as a man. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a series 2, Baby Reindeer series 2, that would potentially be in the makes, or like a West End production or a theatre show or something like that, just because it has such a deep meaning and such important information that was obviously shared within the film, and the series in general. And like I said, it's just, I guess for him it was probably really, really enlightening to just know that the people who were watching the series took it as literal as they were watching it, that, you know, it's his life that he was talking about. He was kind of experiencing all these things, and, you know, everything that happens in the film, it's like he had some sort of experience like that. Very traumatic and very, you know, triggering at points. And I think there were even some episodes that I had a couple of my friends message me and say, don't forget to have a break after this episode, or once you see this and this, it's going to get a little bit more, you know, deep and things like that. So it was one of those things I did manage to bulk watch. I watched every single episode in the space of one day. But yeah, I think it's just one of those series that, you know, it's gonna always be with you forever. I think the fact that it's called Baby Reindeer, interesting name. Like, I think that was one of the names that the stalker actually called him. So Baby Reindeer, Nipple, and every so often, if she didn't have an iPhone, this stalker, so she was kind of using her laptop, or she was using all these kind of like burner phones, and she lived in such a trash flat. Like, it was like, it looked like a council estate flat. There was mess everywhere. She was kind of on some really dodgy sofa. So she was obviously a woman who had problems, and I guess kind of her way of dealing with her problem was to kind of stalk other people, kind of, you know, jump into their lives. Maybe she had mental health issues, maybe she was going through, you know, her own issues and problems and things, but again, she also didn't reach out for help to get those resolved. She ended up just becoming somebody's worst nightmare. So yeah, very incredible series. Like I said, 3 of the actresses and actors in the film, so Richard Gadd himself playing Donnie, Jessica Gunnan, who played the stalker Martha, and Neva Mal, who obviously played the trans actress, or the woman on the date, as Terry. Yeah, I think all 3 of them are absolutely fantastic, and, you know, I think they all really helped to tell the story very, very well. Like, you could have cast anyone for these scenes, but I think the main thing that I was kind of looking forward to was for Martha and Terry, their characters, to actually meet up in the film, and eventually, by chance, I think, when Donnie had kind of ended things with Terry and he kind of thought he got rid of Martha, there was one show that he brought them both to, or well, he didn't think either of them were going to come, but yeah, he kind of saw Terry on the way in with her new friend or boyfriend or whatever at the time, and obviously heard Martha in the audience, so they kind of then saw each other because they were both in the same room, and then I guess at the end of it they actually did end up having a meet up, and then they got a little bit like feisty. But yeah, so she did actually meet Martha in a bit of a strange way, which I guess was really interesting, that your love life and your stalker have finally met. But yeah, that's when Donnie / Richard had to obviously explain why he lied about his profession and things like that on his dating profile. And then, yeah, I can't remember how exactly the film ended, but I think she kind of ended up going to prison, and, you know, Terry was there by his side. So, you know, in the end, justice prevailed as usual. And, you know, it's just one of those things of, sometimes you just can't help, but there are people that just have problems, and as difficult as it is to try and help them, they don't help themselves. So for someone like her, she ended up getting, what, 8 or 9 months in prison. Don't know if that was extended or on parole, or if she ended up, you know, taking her own life or whatever. But yeah, it's one of those real stories that you're literally like, how can someone be so strange? How can someone be so weird? And how can someone treat someone like that when it's so inhumane, and all he did to start this was just give her a free drink? So yeah, very strange, very weird. Her emotions were constantly changing from being sad to excited to upset to angry. So, and then she was touching him and being all weird. So it was just it was a very weird film series, but I think it was a very enlightening series to know that, you know, these things happen all the time. There are weird people out there are good people out there that have things happen to them. And, you know, as much as these people think they can get away with things, at the end of the day, you can get these things resolved and these people can go behind bars. So yeah, I thought I'd do a quick review on the series because it's absolutely incredible. I think it's the only series I've seen in 2024 so far. I don't think I've seen anything else yet, but yeah, it was an incredible series, great acting from everyone. And like I said, I really do hope that Richard does kind of continue the story, bring it to like theatres, cinema potentially, have like a second series or a second lot of episodes or whatever. And I think it'd be really interesting to play one of the kind of weird characters in the film, to be like, look, this is how the character was, or this is how the person was in real life. I need you to kind of portray X, Y, and Z. So, you know, if there are openings for that sort of thing, I would absolutely be happy to, you know, step forward and try and fill the shoes of one of these people. But yeah, I just think, yeah, incredibly brave man, incredibly brave story. And, you know, it just goes to show that even someone like him, who is now in the public eye as probably one of the biggest actors and directors and things like that, even those people still have a history of dealing with bad people, bad things, bad press, you know, and they're just as normal as the rest of us. It's just, you know, things like that, I guess, motivate them to want to be more successful, to get to a place where they're like, actually, you know what, this person no longer affects me anymore. I'm now doing my own thing, and I've got all my safety and agents and security guards and things around me. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm hoping to be. I want to eventually get to a point where I have a team around me, or where I kind of have supportive family and friends around me, and that, you know, I'm not going to be worried about people coming to try and look for me, or be worried that, you know, people are going to try and, you know, I don't know, sabotage things that I'm getting involved with, or projects or things like that. So that's why I keep myself pretty hidden as well. But yeah, if you did enjoy my review, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. If you have seen Baby Reindeer, all of the episodes, don't forget to comment down below. What was your favourite part? What is your kind of analysis of the series? What did you like and didn't like? And yeah, would you be interested in a part 2? Would you be interested in, you know, a series 2 of Baby Reindeer? And yeah, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it, come back to this video, and then let me know what you think about it. I think it's only 8 episodes, so about half an hour each, so probably no more than a couple of hours. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't already. But until then, thank you very much for watching and listening to my review. Like I said, amazing series, Baby Reindeer. If you did enjoy, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And until my next review or my next video, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.